What is going on, everyone? It is M19, the return of the core set. Core set pre-release time, and as you can tell, I'm in a busy local game store at exactly 12 o'clock midnight, so it's time to start the pre-release. Now, if you aren't lifetime banned for being mean to people on the internet, then you could pick up one of these. A core set 2019 pre-release kit. Inside the pre-release kit, you get everything you need to build your deck, except for the basic lands, which I always recommend people bring from home. If it's your first pre-release, what you want to do is pre-sleeve up maybe 10 or 15 of each color land, and then bring those same kind of sleeves with you so that you can put the deck you build from the pre-release in those sleeves, and then you already have your lands ready to go. Just a pro tip from somebody who's been to about 20 pre-releases in their day. The idea is you get the box starting today at midnight. Just now it is midnight. And you get about 30 minutes to build your deck. It really depends how busy they are and how competitive it is. Sometimes you can get more. Inside here, you'll also get a promo card and usually a spin down. Now, in Core 2019, this is the first time in 5 years that I'm going in completely blind. I know nothing about the cards, but we're going to open it like a brand new player, or a returning player, we should say. And we'll open the packs, and we'll build the best deck we can, just like we do in pre-release. Now we have, for our promo, is a Prodigious Growth. This seems suboptimal. An enchantment. Enchanted creature gets +7/+7, and has trample. Not very good promo. Why are auras not that good? Because you're often getting 2 for 1. They kill the creature that it's attached to, and then you lose both. But that's neither here nor there. Let's see what we have. That promo dated rare is usually something that is helpful if it's on color, but you never really know. There's not a lot of planning you can do for pre-release because you can't really plan on what you're going to open. Usually what I try to do is get my packs open as quick as possible. I'll go a little bit slower since I haven't seen these cards and will want to enjoy them. Fraying Omnipotence. Each player loses half their life, then discards half their cards in their hand, then sacrifices half the creatures they control, rounded up each time. Maybe in a life gain deck where you can get ahead. That might be fun. In general, with pre-release, you want to plan your deck around evasion. You want to be able to win the long game. We have Lathless, Queen Dragon, 6 mana, 6/6 flyer. Whenever another non-token dragon enters the battlefield under your control, create a 5/5 red dragon creature token with flying. That's pretty good. Very spiky. A fine card. 6/6 flyer for 6 in limited is fine. You don't want to play a lot of 6 drops. You might play 1, maybe 2. If you are really trying to play for the long game, if your deck is stally. Reclamation Sage. We have a Johnny's Last Stand. So many enchantments. Enchantments as rares are always feel bad. A 4 mana enchantment. Whenever a creature or planeswalker you control dies, you may sacrifice the Johnny's Last Stand. If you do, create a 4/4 white avatar creature token with flying. Whenever a spell or ability your opponent controls causes you to discard this card, if you control a planes, create a 4/4 white avatar creature with flying. What? Whenever a creature or planeswalker you control dies, you may sacrifice a Johnny's Last Stand. If you do, so you're paying 4 mana for a 4/4 flyer, I guess. I guess. My rares don't seem very powerful. I may want to build just around a fast, aggressive early game. All right, we have Bone Dragon, a 5 mana 5/4 mythic with flying. Pay 5, exile 7 other cards from your graveyard, return Bone Dragon from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. You're probably able to do this once in the game because you're only playing with a 40-card deck typically, but not terrible. We've got 2 black rares or mythics, so we'll want to keep that in mind. If you end up with like 4 or 5 uncolored rares, it can be pretty advantageous. Here we go. Demanding Dragon. 5 mana, 5/5 with flying. When Demanding Dragon enters the battlefield, it deals 5 damage to target opponent unless that player sacrifices a creature. That's very good. That's very good. I'm liking green-black dragons. I'm green-black. Red-black. I'm liking red-black dragons. I'm not kidding. We have a lot of finishers, but we might not have enough other stuff. This is an interesting card, right? A 4 mana 2/2. You look at it and you're like, this isn't very good. But whenever it attacks, each opponent loses 2 life. So if you have a couple of these in play, they can be pretty spicy. Or if you have some way to make it stronger or less enticing to block. Now we have Draconic Disciple, 3 mana 2/2. Tap, add 1 of any color. That's good. Pay 7 and tap. Create a 5/5 red. Oh, green-red might be good. Sun Cleanser. A 2 mana 1/4. When it enters the battlefield, choose 1. Remove all counters from target creature. It can't have counters put on it for as long as Sun Cleanser remains in the battlefield. Target opponent loses all counters. That player can't get counters for as long as Sun Cleanser remains on the battlefield. Interesting hoser for Infect, right? All right. Well, I'm going to pause the video at this point and start sorting my cards, and we're going to see what kind of deck I come up with. Okay, this was kind of what I would have called, in a way, a bit of a nightmare pool, in that I needed almost all of the time that I allotted myself to build the deck, but also pretty evenly distributed card quality. No one color really jumping out as better than the other, specifically no 2 colors. The dual colored lands I had were great. Originally, I thought about doing red and blue because I had 2 Enigma Drakes, which can be very problematic to deal with. And the blue is strong. But the problem was the red, really outside of the top end, like Guttersnipe, that goes good, right? Spark Tongue Dragon, double Spark Tongue Dragon, pretty good. Then you have these other 2, Demanding Dragon, Lathless Dragon. I thought about going red-blue, and I'm actually still thinking about coin flipping that. I guess it would depend how the first match went, but it was a little thin. It was a little thin. Maybe I'll show you that build too, and then we can decide together. So let's start with the black-blue build that I did. Starting with Nightmare's Thirst. Simple, gain a life. Target creature gets -X, -X, and turn where X is the amount of life you've gained this turn. So you can combo that excuse me, with some of the other cards you'll see in the deck. So late game, I might gain 3 or 4 life in a turn, so this turns into a removal spell. It also is early game removal. Vampire Neonate, where basically it's like Lobber Crew, except you got pay 2. Pay 2, each opponent loses a life and you gain a life. My plan with this deck is to just stalemate the board and then be pinging them with unblockable creatures or things like the Neonate, and they can't stop it. Aether Tunnel. Normally, I wouldn't like to play enchantments, but again, this makes a creature unblockable and gives it +1/+0. I think it's fine to play in this deck. Essence Scatter. I'm light on creatures. I think I only have like 11. That's definitely light. Departed, so I want to keep the board clear early or late, deal with bombs. Departed Deckhand. A fine 2 mana 2/2. That can't be blocked except by spirits, and also you can pay 4 and give that ability to another creature. But it gets targeted with anything, it's dead. So it's a removal magnet. Anticipate. Very strong card in a 40 card deck. Looking at the top 3 of your card, putting one of them into your hand and the rest of them at the bottom of your library in any order. Ghost form, I thought there were like 3 different forms that I could play. I had Abnormal Endurance, a Macabre Waltz. I picked Ghost form because following the unblockable theme. Even if you're just trading punches or the board stalemate, this can combine with some of your biggest creatures to be the finishing blow. Even Wind Mage, 3 mana, 2/1, or 2/2, which is fine. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, it gets +1/+1 till the end of turn as well. So we have Divination to draw cards. I've got Dwindles ×2, which will negate bombs. Buy me time. Aviation Pioneer, basically, what is it? Song of Birds, bird songs, or whatever. You get 2/3 power for 3 mana. It's a fine card. Hired Blade, this is pretty much a removal spell. 3/2 flash creature with nothing special. I just needed an extra creature. Ravenous Harpy, 3 mana, 1/2 flyer, but you can put counters on it. So let's say they go to remove one of your creatures or you're chump blocking. You block, then before damage, you sacrifice that creature and you make this thing bigger. So late game, you could end up being very reasonable. It's a 3/4 flyer. I may also sub this into Doom Dissenter, simply because using this with something like Ravenous Harpy provides extra value. I can block, chump block, kill it, then come back and get a zombie. So there are some options there. Snapping Drake, basic, 4 mana, 3/2 flyer. Again, just following the evasion rules. Skeleton Archer. This is a 4 mana, 3/3, which is not great, but it also comes in and deals 1 damage. So the idea is, I'm going to ping you, I'm going to tap, I'm going to get you for 1, I'm going to get you for 2, then I'm going to have an unblockable, I'm going to get you for that. Just wear them down. Strangling Spores, a simple -3/-3 instant removal spell. Infectious Horror. Now this is a card that combos well with some of my other making things unblockable, or the ideal play is to have Aether Tunnel on it, because it's a 4 mana 2/2, which stinks, but whenever Infectious Horror attacks, each opponent loses 2 life. So that's all I have to do is to attack, and that's 2 damage they can't stop. Now, if it's blockable through one of my creature abilities or through something like Aether Tunnel, basically with Aether Tunnel on it, you're getting them for 5 damage every turn. Very good, I think. Decent combo. Totally Lost. This is either to protect my bomb or to 2-for-1 somebody. Or, I mean, if they play an aura, you can bounce it so they can't use the aura. A wide variety of things. The card is fine. I might sub in Doom Dissenter or something like that. Then along playing the same theme, playing Fraying Omnipotence, a 5 mana. Each player loses half their life, then discards half their cards in their hand, then sacrifices half their creatures they control round up. The idea here is keep them on their toes, keep their resources low, get them low on life, and then just get through with one of my flyers, get through with one of my unblockables, and win the game. Vampire Sovereign, 5 mana, 3/4 with flying. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent loses 3 life and you gain 3 life. So this kind of card combos with the Nightmare's Thirst, right? You play this, then you play Nightmare's Thirst. Now you've got -4/-4. You could kill a decent-sized creature, win a that sort of thing. Plus, you're getting value after casting it just for 1 mana. Lich's Caress, simple removal, but again, gain 3 life. That also combos if you have 6 mana up with Nightmare's Thirst. Nice little combination. And then we have Bone Dragon as a finisher, 5 mana, 5/4 flying, that I'll be able to cast twice. The other card I thought about, having Macabre Waltz in so I could bring it back, but I can also protect it with Totally Lost or other ways I can counterspell, things like that. Well, not really. Essence Scatter doesn't really help me. But that's the deck. Now I'm going to look at red-blue, and we'll see which deck we like better. Okay, so the red-blue deck is a little different. I'm trying to use the synergies that the blue cards have with artifacts. You see cards like Gearsmith Prodigy, where it's a 1 mana 1/2, but if you have an artifact in play, it's a 1 mana 2/2, which is very nice. Normally, I would never play Life Gain, but let's see how this one works out. I need artifacts in this deck. Fountain of Renewal. Explosive Apparatus. This is a fine card. Sits on the field, activates my artifact triggers, and I can also blow it up to deal 2 damage. Diamond Mare, again, just a 2-mana early chump blocker, because I think the way this deck wins is the long game play and its big fatty bombs. Diamond Mare, again, gain a little life, slow the game down a little bit, buy myself some time. It's also a decent blocker for 2 mana. Then I have Essence Scatter to keep creatures off the board, and again, I'm going to put instants and sorceries in a different pile for a different reason. Departed Deckhand, 2 mana 2/2, also fine. Powerful card. Anticipate. Ghost Form. That would be for a finisher, you know, with 2 5/5 dragons, even if they have something with reach or they have something that can block, you can cast that and swing through for 10. Uncomfortable Chill. This is to buy time. Creatures your opponent's control get -2, -0. Make them smaller, and also draw a card. It's also an instant. Then we have just a 3 mana 2/2 that gets bigger when I cast an instant or a sorcery. So that's why they're in that other pile. Divination, same thing. Draw some cards. Then I have Dwindle to take down a fatty. I have a second copy of Dwindle if I'm dealing with like a red-green mid-range deck or something like that, and I really need to just neuter them. Aviation Pioneer. This is just fine value for 3 mana. Then Guttersnipe, which is one of the first reasons you want to talk about instants and sorceries. Every time you cast one, it deals 2 damage to your opponent. So you could cast 2 of them in one turn, or maybe even 3, and really do a lot of damage. And this deck has to work with a lot of card draw, and so you keep more spells to deal more damage. Then Dragon's Egg. This is, of course, just a defender, but when it dies, you create a 2/2 red dragon creature token with flying and fire breathing. Then another reason the instants and sorceries are important, we have 2 copies of Enigma Drake. It comes in as an X4, and it gets +1/+1 for every instant and sorcery in your graveyard. So if we had a potential graveyard right now, we would have 5. It would be a 5/4 for 3 mana, you know, something like that. So have 2 of those. Those are very difficult to deal with. Then Scholar of Stars. I play 2 of these because it's a 3/2, which is fine. It can trade up. But as long as you have an artifact in play, then when you play this 3/2 for 4, you're also drawing a card. Then you can another Totally Lost, potentially bounce stuff, and now we get into the big boys. Demanding Dragon, 5/5 for 5, and when it enters the battlefield, it deals 5 damage to target opponent unless that player sacrifices a creature. Spark Tongue Dragon, 5 mana 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, you may pay 3. When you do, it deals 3 damage to any target. Now that I can deal it to the player too, right? Again, just doming them for 3 there. Guttersnipe works them down. Maybe Guttersnipe's good for 6 damage, 4 to 6 damage, I think, in most games. Then you can get through with these flyers, or you can get in and you blast them with engineered explosives and things like that. Here's another Spark Tongue. So between these 2, just by casting them, now you got to wait till turn 8 to do it, but you have a 3/3 flyer that also deals 3 damage directly. Then we have Lathless Queen Dragon, 6 mana 6/6, and whenever another non-token dragon enters the battlefield under your control, create a 5/5 red dragon creature token with flying. Plus, it gives fire breathing to all of your dragons. So I played as many copies as I could, dragons. So I have 4. So it's entirely possible that this will be out and I'll hit another one, especially with all of my card draw. So that is the blue-red deck I see. Maybe you'd play a Manolith instead of the other life gain thing. Maybe you would put Rogue's Gloves in. I don't think I would play that. Maybe in the unblockable deck. But, you know, maybe you play Active Treason. If you're not casting enough spells, you'd have to work it. Remember, every card you open is your sideboard. So, you know, even if I can't attend pre-release with all of you, I still enjoy pre-release, even if I'm pre-releasing all by myself, just like back when I was 14 years old. But you should attend pre-release. It's one of the best times to support your local game store. It's one of the best times to meet new and returning players. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.